Okay, the final lap. Former president, we are on this one. Jah Rastafari. Hear me now. Why is the senator laughing? Hey, when you post that about it, man, I'm playing a song. We are ready. Your attention. We are ready. Because you are my inspiration. You know you're my inspiration. In our introduction. Oh yeah. There should never be no agitation. So we can make the right decision. We are better. There should never be dissatisfaction. Yeah, we take that down. We have with us Senator Abe Darius Dillon, Montserrat County, right here, sharing the platform with us. I don't know if I should say he's not fresh from South. He's half fresh. You know, he has spent 1 or 2 days here. So, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you for the invitation. Let me say good afternoon to your listeners in Liberia, and good day wherever your viewers are around the world in the social media. We give God the glory for yet another day.
Yeah, half fresh from South Korea.
That one with me. That one week.
Extensive travels. That's a long flight.
Yes, indeed.
How did it come about for you to travel with the president there? This is the second president you're traveling with now, right?
Yeah. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to travel with the leader of your country on a presidential delegation. I had the privilege with Madam Salif, and I'm graced now with the privilege with President Bouaga. But I travel as senator and chairman on the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Senate, along with the chairman on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Representative Ta Wongwei. And it's a privilege and increasing experience.
There are those who argue that maybe some of you should not have been on that trip. The country spent too much money. Certain people should not. What did the senator and the representative? What were they doing there? Was your being there necessary?
Yeah, in the wisdom of the president, yes. And when we got there, we saw the necessity.
Okay.
I'm careful so as not to cross my line as a senator and not to engage in executive functions. But as a member of the delegation of the president, I owe it to the president and the country and the people to give them some information within my own purview and authority. I know for a fact that the Korean government paid for about 9 to 10 tickets. The president, the 2 lawmakers, foreign minister, and some members of the delegation of the president from Liberia. So they did with all of the countries from Africa.
You are the first I'm hearing it from.
The Korean government paid for air tickets for about 9 to 10 persons on the delegation from Liberia and all African countries. The other technical people that went from Liberia and other African countries were paid for by their respective governments, including our government. My air ticket to and fro was paid for fully by the South Korean government, same with the president, the foreign minister, and about 6-7 other persons, including the Minister of Information, the Minister of Agriculture, and the Minister of Defense.
On that point, I don't know if it was talked about elsewhere, but do you think being more open helps the government? Because by this information, it gives a certain clearer perspectives to what the trip was.
Look, Julius, transparency is the best simple defense for evidence for abuse defense and all that thing. You don't need to explain when you're transparent, when you're open. When everybody's seeing what you're doing, you don't need to explain. You don't need to have you here to justify all that stuff. So that is why you see someone always fight for openness, transparency, and accountability. You can verify this information. I know you very well.
No, yeah, sure.
You know, so it is what it is. It is good to be upfront with the information. It's good to be in control of your own narrative than for you to be on the defensive and reacting.
Now, going back to the trip itself, Representative Tai Wongwe posted about being around the president, the long flight, and some of what he didn't expect, the energy he exuded, his ability, that the human side of the president reminds me about covering, you know, President Sirleaf and her age and how she worked throughout and everything. What is your perspective pertaining that?
Tai Wongwe, Representative Tai Wongwe of Nema County, who is the chairperson, my colleague of committee level from the House of Representatives, had his first experience with traveling with a president of a nation on presidential delegation, and his first close, long period experience with Joseph Boaga. Nothing Joseph Boaga was doing in the plane, his discipline, his work ethics, the long flight, not tired, nothing he was doing that was surprising to me. As we sold Joseph Boaga to the Liberian people because we knew him. Those who did not know him had doubts, and it's only a good opportunity for to clear the doubt with people who had doubt, and I give it to Representative Tai Wongwe. He was surprised. You know, we took up from here to Accra, from Accra to Turkey, 7 hours in transit from Turkey to Seoul, Korea, and then back from Korea to Bangkok, from Bangkok to Addis Ababa, Addis Ababa to Accra, Accra to Monrovia. From Accra to Turkey, from Turkey to South Korea, it's about 16 to 20 hours. I sat by the president, next to the president, and Tai was on the same row on the other eye of the plane. He saw the president. Joseph Boaga was on his laptop, sometimes on his tablet. He's not putting documents together, he's editing documents. And at the same time, at a long flight, leisure time, he take his tablet, iPad, play Scrabble to kill the time. And at one point, there was some joke on the plane, you know, having some fun too. So Tai fell asleep. When he woke up, the old man said, "Honorable, I'm sleeping here." You know, and, you know, and we started to laugh. About Tai Wongwe, you know, a critical person, very analytical. He put out a post. Thankfully, that post did not come from me. To praise, only praise somebody who you know, is a flattery now, and sometimes it loses the salt. But an analysis from Tai Wongwe of Joseph Boaga, first-hand experience. We had 30 hours of flight in between transit and other stuff. And by the time we landed in South Korea, 30 minutes thereafter, from the airport, the VIP lounge, straight to a business forum where the president was presiding. We left from here Saturday evening. We reached early Monday and straight to a business forum where the president was presiding. For me, I know Joseph Boaga, but Tai Wongwe could not believe it. I think the trip was good. The event, the occasion, is the first Korea-Africa Summit. This is the meeting edition. They intend to do it annually. And every African country and presidents. There were about 28 to 30 African presidents. At that occasion, we had a privilege of meeting Paul Kagame. Of course, meeting Nana Akufo from Ghana is almost a regular thing. Malabio was there. Madagascar president, and you name it. The only notable president who wasn't there was the president of Nigeria, for whatever reason, but Nigeria was represented. The president of South Africa and Malawi, and you name them, they were all there. And it was not just a proud moment seeing Joseph Boaga address that forum, because it's nothing strange, but the positions we took as a country, the discussions we had, the interactions, the network that took place, and some of the bilateral discussions we had, especially with Liberian passport and visa issue, and a lot of other stuff. So I think it was a good trip.
Good. I am being careful not to put you in the executive area.
Yeah, please.
But in his meeting with the South Korean leader, according to the executive mansion, it says here in one of the paragraphs, in response, President Yo made the following assurances in leveraging partnerships in a range of areas covering the development of roads and infrastructure contingent upon a detailed proposal, the provision of scholarships for Liberian students seeking to pursue studies in various disciplines in Korea, and lending assistance in advancing agricultural development in Liberia, encompassing the transfer of agricultural technologies and a key focus on rice production. The president, according to this release, put forth a whole lot of things. And what they're saying is the South Koreans also are interested in investing whatever it is, but contingent upon a detailed proposal.
Right, correct.
That means even after the summit,
right,
something has to happen back home. Now, the question is, there is always sometimes a lack of pursuing follow-ups,
yeah,
as talked about by Senator Amara Kone,
right,
by past governments as well. How are you, as a senator who was on that trip, a lawmaker, going to ensure through your oversight,
correct,
that this opportunity doesn't pass?
So by the time I returned from Korea, from the airport, I went straight to Grand Bassa County to join the Senate, concluding a 3-day retreat in Grand Bassa County. And I spoke with the media regarding this. You do network, you don't just come home and sit. You do follow-ups, you knock doors. The poor give you key, use the key, open doors. Again, maybe we're all guilty about it. If you expect your leader to leave from here and return with suitcase full of money or container full of money from...
And that has been the kind of politics.
And that is why I say we all will be guilty of it. No leader, no country leaves to go to a summit and return physically with a container full of money or suitcase full of money. Even the investors that may express interest in investing in your country, it will take few days or weeks for them to come, and sometimes months, for them to come on the ground to explore. Just because you tell them that your country is business friendly and the environment is free for business, they don't come in on a plane with you to go start doing business. They got to take time, do the follow-ups and all that stuff. So what we can ensure that this administration, with our senatorial function as well, we will follow up on all of these opportunities to ensure that technology in our agricultural sector, with our defense security system, our education system, to ensure that those investors, big Korean companies that enter into MOU with the government of Liberia, for the business are coming to explore, for various businesses, investment opportunity, we keep pushing, keep knocking until we see the reality here. And it's not going to be very far away.
Okay. Now, Did you also, I think there may have been some lawmakers from other places there. Did you build some networks too?
So the chairperson on the foreign relations, I made personal contact so that we can have legislative exchange. Korea is a serious country. South Korea is a very serious country. Unless, and that's my first time going there. We want to look for America, London, and some parts of Europe. Korea is a very serious country. And so we try to network, so we do exchange of visits for experience and what have you when it comes to how parliaments work, what kind of technology is needed to upgrade and all of that stuff. Yeah, so I'm reporting to the Liberian Senate through the Foreign Affairs Committee, some of the networks that we made so that we can take advantage of them to benefit this country and our legislature.
A big Korean newspaper that is also in English mentioned in its publication countries that were helpful to South Korea when they were fighting their war.
Correct.
In the early 1950s.
Yeah, and
they
Liberia
mentioned
was,
Liberia's
yep,
logistical support to South Korea.
right.
Have we really leveraged that?
I'm not too sure we have, but we have the opportunity now. If we had it before and we did not take advantage of it, we have yet another opportunity to pursue it. The fact that the South Korean president, in addressing the Korea-Africa Summit, made mention of countries Korea recognizes as countries that fought for them and their independence today, mentioning Liberia, it means they are showing sign of gratitude. And when people and when a country shows signs of gratitude, tap on that gratitude opportunity so that you too can benefit from what they have that you don't have.
Let me ask you this question that will be a little bit personal. Liberia maybe in 1950, may have been a little better than South Korea. We gave them support, logistical support when they were fighting their war.
Yeah.
They are nearly a first world country today. You as a leader being there, seeing where we were, the stark contrast, how we haven't really moved on and what that country has done. What has it done to you?
You know, Julius, last year, early last year, I was offered an opportunity to go to South Korea. The Youth International Foundation, based in South Korea, a very worthy humanitarian, South Korean humanitarian, who is catering to the needs of youth across Africa and the world, empowering them with education and skills. The institution came to Liberia and visited me, particularly at my office, and offered the opportunity for me to go to South Korea. But in my office, they displayed a video. It's about 10 minutes long video. The video depicts South Korea in poverty and what took South Korea out of poverty and where South Korea is today. And the only resource tool they used was to change the mindset and the mentality of South Koreans. The mindset and mentality of South Koreans. To say we may be poor, but we're not a poor country. Our mindset is the reason we are poor. Once we change our mindset to constructive, positive, ambitious things, we can change our country and change our lives. And with no plenty mineral resources like we have here, South Korea is competing today in less than 60 years with first-class countries. When you want to know a serious country, by the time you land there, you know from the streets how clean the streets are, how disciplined the people are, how rigid the respect for the rule of law is. Many other things follow. Discipline. First, I am a South Korean before I am a member of this society or this party. Once we're able to change our mindset, first for our country, toward our country, plenty things will follow, Julius. The South Koreans were resilient out of poverty. Today, South Korea is selling all technological skills.
And inviting the whole of Africa and other
And
countries.
inviting the whole of Africa. And I was seated in that hall, and Representative Tao Wongwe and I were sitting together, and we were asking, when will it be Africa-America Summit, where the leaders of the Americas will come to Africa? When will it be Africa-China Summit, rather than China-Africa Summit, where all the leaders of Africa go to Korea or to China or to America or to Europe? When will it be Africa-Europe Summit, where European leaders around the world will come to Africa for summit, for us to talk about global peace, global terrorism, how to fight it, climate change, and all of those stuff. So what South Korea has done, we can do. They are human beings. We are human beings. They got blood in their vein. We have blood in ours. The South Korean who has 2 hands and 2 legs wears his trouser in the morning, 1 leg at a time, just like Liberians do back home here. They are Liberian. They are human beings all there. We are human beings here. The only difference is the changing of our mindset and mentality.
The okay conversation right here. We have with us Senator Darius Dillon. We're having a high-level conversation here. He was on the delegation with the president. The breaking news that we've not heard is that the Korean government paid for some of the tickets of the high-level people. I believe those mentioned in the release. He said 9 to 10 of them were paid for to and fro. They are flight tickets. We've not heard that one. He provided that information for us. Now, you came and went to the retreat. This may be what, the second? I think there was a retreat before you all started in January.
No, that wasn't our retreat.
Okay, the one
our family done was to build a consensus for the leadership.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually the first retreat of the Senate, especially under the leadership of Yombi Kangalori.
Why is it necessary?
It's necessary because the vision and the agenda of the country is run by the president, by the executive. That is why the president comes to set the annual agenda of his or her administration in the delivery of the annual message, wherein the president, he or she, but I will use he now because it's Boaka at the time, will present his legislative agenda for the year and also report on the state of the economy. The legislature is there to aid and do oversight. So if the president's legislative agenda for the year is agriculture, enabling laws, if there are laws on the books that will hinder, impede, the progress of that agenda, it is only the legislature that can repeal. If it requires amendment, so the president will come and present the legislative agenda to the legislature, and the legislature is now under the obligation, functional obligation to agree with the president or disagree with the president in the spirit of check and balance, because the president's agenda may not be seen as what the lawmakers, what the legislature. So, but honor the leadership, the current leadership of Nyomdi Kanga Lawrence as pro tem, in as much as we want to pattern within the vision and the agenda of the administration, the Senate must have its agenda in tandem with the agenda of the administration. And while the administration is fostering its agenda, the legislature, in order to be on par or to be even ahead, we must reform ourselves. You can be looking for law or draft bill and the progress of it by asking individual lawmakers to give you copy. It should be on a website. The click of a link. The standardization of the workforce. If somebody is a director and another person is a director, their pay should be commensurate with.
And that is what harmonization was supposed to achieve.
So harmonization is not the same as standardization.
Okay.
Harmonization was to harmonize, so they can harmonize it from $300 to $150. Yeah. So, but standardization is if a secretary is making $500, another secretary must be making $500.
Yeah, but they said that all that thing was in harmonization.
No, harmonization is not the same. Yeah, standardization is what we seek to do at the legislature, at the Senate, under the leadership of Nyomdi Kanga Lawrence. She has written the GSC and with the approval of the Senate, the plenary, they do system audit. After we put the system in place, we now go to transactional audit. We have to audit the legislature. We have to audit the legislature.
This has been on our lips, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for audit of the legislature.
Indeed. Unless somebody take you to court, the judiciary does not shake. But nobody need to bring anything before us. We can pick it up and push it for something to happen. And in order for us to have that standing, to keep pushing for audit and accountability in other sectors of government, we have to clean house first. And the GSC will tell you, and I'm sure you know about accounting, business, and auditing, no auditor will audit anywhere where there is no system. So the first thing we're seeking to do is to put system in place, after which there will be transactional audit. Transactional audit is where people account for what they receive. Right now, no professional auditor can audit the legislature with the kind of system we have. So the first thing to do is to put in place a system audit so that the Liberian people can know the auditor is not coming to audit what Darius Dillon did with his salary. The auditor is coming to audit what Darius Dillon did with $30,000, for instance. The auditor is coming to audit what Darius Dillon did with stationary money. You understand? The auditor is not coming to audit people's salary and their allowances, but those things that require procurement and other things. If they're giving $30,000 or $40,000 for a car, did I buy $30,000 or $40,000 car? Put those systems in place, and then you can do transactional audit, including payroll audit, personnel audit, where there can be a lot of potential for corruption and purchases and procurement.
Okay, now still there is this kind of uncanny cordiality with you, the senators, whether it's opposition or government or supporting. It's a healthy for a democracy or not. You all seem to be friendly.
Everybody just friendly.
Yeah, that's how it appears.
It will appear like that, and it is so because even myself who here, and we are attempting to come act like I'm some tough different guy from all of my colleagues. Myself, I've been giving my own government honeymoon period. So everybody decided that this is a new government. Let's give it breathing space. The president wants this person. If the nomination the president made, if it is not egregious enough, let me use the word of the Supreme Court in defining the violation of the code of conduct. If the person's character, the suitability is not egregious or grave enough to say no, let's give the president those the president wants to work with so he can have excuse later on. So it's a honeymoon period. You ask for something, we give it to you. So long what we give you, what you asking us to give you without harm, we give to you. So you can have excuse after the honeymoon period to say, I wanted to do this. I told you I wanted to work with this group of people and you said no. So you hamper my work and my fast progress. So the honeymoon period, 6 months, maybe enough. Some people think it's still not enough the time to determine the success or failure of this government. And so, yes, at the Senate, we speak to one another. And that's why they say the house of elders. When you see us agree,
I'm not sure it was like that. Oh no, you the opposition people, even though you were not there from the start.
Yeah.
But you were more active in terms of going after the issues and all that.
When you have a consultative leader or leadership, I've always said when I serve as induction speaker at induction programs where we're inducting institutional leadership, I've always said leaders must learn to plan with the people, not for the people. When you plan with the people, you get a cooperation because you know what they want, you know what they need because they tell you, because they are involved with the plan. If you plan for the people, there's a potential to get resisted. You don't know what the people want, you plan for them, you just go dash your own plan on, then they will resist it. If you went to a town and every house has running water in the pump and hand pump also, and you went and donated 10 hand pump, nobody will clap for you. When you go in that town, ask the people what they want. Maybe the most significant thing they want is the least thing that you could provide. But the fact that you ask and you went and carry your own thoughts there, they appreciate it. Playing with the people, not for the people. The Nyomdi Kanga leadership over the Senate is planning with the people. Consultative leadership, where everybody is involved. Anybody has issue, let's resolve it. If it is issue driven, let's resolve it. Everybody in there was elected. Whether we like the person or not, whether we think that person is supposed to have been our colleague or not, the law made all of us equal. And they represent counties. So nobody sees it as such, and she consults and ensures that she gets consensus before she puts something on the floor. Under the Weir administration, it was not a dislike or hate for Weir. It was purely a dislike and hate for the things they were doing the way they were doing it. For instance, you can't force down Senator Dillon's throat to agree that I gave Samuel Toe, as Minister of Finance, authority to use roll form money for salary when it did not happen. You will receive resistance. You cannot force down Senator Dillon's throat to pass a budget where you're asking for $84 million to pay domestic debt, but you can't release the list of who you're supposed to pay or institution you're supposed to pay. You will encounter resistance, especially with people with courage, people of courage like Darius Dillon. Honor Senator Nyomdi Kanga Lawrence leadership, all senators have a say. It's like almost everybody equal. She presides over us and she guides the process along the way. That's leadership. Everybody feels a part, and as a result, nobody communication gets denied. So you don't hear press conference say, I wrote my letter and then put on the floor. Whatever burning your heart, the issues for your country on the national level, you write, we put on the floor, we debate it. We found solutions to it. That's leadership.
Okay, before we go to the lines, because I need a little more interactions with you, from the public, there was almost like a rift that almost developed between you and Senator Amrakone over the 285 machine story. That, the Minister of State Portfolio said the machines were in the ship coming. The president even said hinted at it being a loan because he said, let the machine come and let the worker tell me he can't find the money to pay for it. Later on, the information minister had to come to walk back all of those and say the government hasn't really. This whole story, it doesn't look clear. What do you know?
The story look clear.
How?
The country won 285 yellow machine. And
well, that is what the administration wants. I'm not sure that's the country because a whole lot of senators are not even aware. Lawmakers are not aware.
No, so let me flow. The administration has announced 285 yellow machines. Open the line until tomorrow morning. Nobody will tell you that they are using the machine. Everybody, and rightfully so, will ask the question, how is it coming, under what condition? Is it grant? Is it loan? Everybody wants transparency and accountability, and we too want it. I, Senator Darius Dillon, want it. That transparency and accountability. When I was not a senator, and the we administration brought about Eaton and Ibomaf deal.
You were irregular here.
Yes. It was before the legislature. And the legislator said, or some of them, the famous saying, even if it is loan from the devil, we'll take it. That will raise eyebrows. Who you are taking it from? Where is it coming from? Under what condition? Is it true or is too good to be true? Those were the questions we were asking. But even at that, no lawmaker under the 54th under President Weah rejected that deal because they wanted the coastal highway. Similarly, open the land exclusively only for lawmakers. Everybody will tell you they want a yellow machine. They just want to know how. And I too want to know how. But the reason I'm not rushing is because the how will be determined when it's properly brought before us, before me as a senator. The executive would not put one yellow machine down here. It would not know where it comes from, how it's coming.
Well, but you could sense the concern when the video came out, and besides the voice of the Minister of State without video, that it is on the boat coming. So saying that it is concluded and everything else. No, that's why people were concerned.
Enough, and I tend to understand the concerns of the people. But as a lawmaker, I think I said it here before. When the president does nomination, and you see it on the executive mansion website, it is not, once it's not officially before the Senate, then our business. If they put your name on the executive mansion website as a nominee, they announce it on ERBC. You break it as breaking news. Once an official communication addressed to the president pro tempore announcing the nomination for it to be properly placed before the Senate for us to send it to the appropriate committee for confirmation processes, it is not before the Senate. So whatever the executive may have said, whether it was shape or not, as a senator, I'm not rushing to. No machine will land here or get on the streets here or on any road here if we and the proper things are not done. And I trust this administration, I trust this leadership that will do the right thing. Okay. So it was no beef between my colleague and I.
I said almost a rift, almost.
It was no almost.
But we saw the post.
No, that interpretation. It was no almost. My colleague only stood in the way of a bullet that was not intended for him, so straight bullet hit him, and he thought it was for him. So yeah. As a lawmaker, I will not be asking us out there about how the thing happened, where the transparency. I will be in the chamber and demanding it. Okay. So that was not intended for him. He only allowed straight bullet to hit him, unfortunately.
Thanks. Let's take some calls. 777-700-995, 555-995-995. Let's begin with some messages. Whew, all the lines are blinking and blinking. Imana Peter says, good evening. Going to an economic summit is not about bringing physical cash, but investment subject to cash. For example, Tanzania will be receiving about $2.4 billion, Kenya about $238 million. The doubt is of the Liberians is not about putting money in containers, but what is the financial value of expected investments? I'm sure I read something earlier. The president said, I'm not sure the government went with that detailed plan, or there were negotiations that happened before the summit. Countries that had negotiations before the summit, yeah, you can understand. I explained that here plenty of times, but anyways.
Yeah,
welcome.
Let's talk about mindset.
Welcome. Let's hear you.
Yes, good evening. Let me say good evening to your listening audience. Good evening to Senator Dillon.
Go ahead.
I'm CRC Emmanuel M. Super Jr. of the Internet Class, District number 14. Well, Julius, let me appreciate you for your level of integrity that you try to maintain on the platform, bringing some colors to check, especially those colors who after people.
My man, let's go to. We got enough time.
That's my point I'm raising. All right. After all, Senator Dillon has said what he should have said. It's a new PRO for the legislature for the executive. And all we wish is that this government will succeed, because the reason is Senator Dillon will be traveling freely because the other senators who are in opposition, they are not firebrand and he brings himself at the light. I know it's a light is still on in the legislature there because it's one is standing now with the executive, this current executive, so there's nothing like contrary to this government. We appreciate.
No, but I hosted him here the other time. He was very critical of his own government on different points.
It's okay. He's not critical. He just wants something to be worked on so he can recommend some of his friends into the government. It has been done.
Okay. Thanks so kindly. This person says, sorry. Good evening, Mr. Jai. I agree with Senator Dillon that they aren't raising issues planning with them because they send recommending people for presidential appointments. Okay, I saw another message here. This person says, Boy Coco says, good afternoon, Julius. Please ask your guest, Senator Dillon, whether the economy has left the toilet under President Boakai. Okay.
Yeah, we're taking it off.
Yeah,
we're taking it off.
Welcome. Let's hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good afternoon. My name is James Dana. I'm calling from the Rabat International Airport.
Go ahead.
I want to just thank you so much to Senator Studio. Like, actually, somebody already asked my question. I just want to ask the Honorable, has the economy left the toilet now?
Yeah, but yeah, that is
but I want to say, and I need it.
No, your microphone off the
they can hear me.
So they will not hear you now until, yeah. Welcome, let's hear you. What's your name?
Thank you, Julius. My name is Mama C. Kaba, and I'm calling you from Zoo Community, and where I have always lived. Good evening to Senator Dillon. It is quite interesting that Senator Dillon has evidently turned to the new spokesperson for the executive.
No, wait now. So if a talk show host invites a senator who went on a trip to ask him some questions about his experience on the trip and other things, he should turn it down because he's not government spokesperson?
Have you been following him? He called on Prime FM today to defend the government, the executive. So you know he's a public figure, we follow him as well. So if you call him, he could have told you some of the network he built when he went on a trip. And not to be saying to Mr. Boakai is later when we went for the first time we were in.
But I am the one that asking the question, so you didn't want me to answer it?
I can answer, but the problem is you're in the constant habit of interrupting me, and when I reach the time to speak, and then you cut me off because two persons have called, have said almost the same thing I just said. You didn't ask them, you didn't cut them off. But when it comes to me, I don't know if it's a strategy, and then you try to interrupt me. I don't mind.
But go ahead.
But why will you ask me a question when I say he clearly turned to a PRO for the government? Okay. He has come to the studio to speak for the government, so let me just go there. Now the economy is not in the toilet. When you talk about the lawmakers, the senators were not this way before, he said it's because of consultative leadership. No, that is not true. The truth is they were very disruptive. And our opposition leaders, it is unfortunate that they are not speaking. There are a lot of things happening. Senator Dillon is in the Senate when a public works minister admitted violating and bypassing the procurement process. He has not said anything about that. Senator Dillon is a senator when civil servant salary have been delayed. He is not saying anything about that. Senator Dillon is a senator when the hospital do not have drugs. He is not saying anything about that. Senator Dillon is a senator when there was alleged corruption from the legislature, specifically the lower house, talking about each lawmaker taking 4,500 when our people are struggling. Senator Dillon is not talking anything about that.
Okay.
Things are happening and he feels that they are okay. He should not have been on that trip. The money they use on him are being used to do something better for our country.
Thanks so kindly. We'll hold you that. Let's get someone else. We don't have enough time. Welcome quickly. Mr. Koti, after you, I'll take Eric Barry. Go ahead.
I'll be very brief. Thank you, Senator, and good evening. I haven't seen you for a little while. I listened to your colleague, Senator Snow, who one time said on the radio he was blaming the United States of America for not doing so much to help Liberia. Do you agree with him? Do you agree with some of us who believe that the real problem is that America, they have done their best. But the real problem is that we have too many greedy and wicked politicians almost stealing everything from the Liberian people. And this is why we are backward. Not because the United States has not done much.
Okay.
We have sent money for drugs and other things. We have stolen these things. So do you agree with him that America has not done much, or you agree with me?
Okay.
We have greedy and wicked politicians stealing every damn day.
Thanks. No, you can't use that word here. Mr. Koti, you know. Let's come to you. Welcome. The LPDP Secretary General Eric Baye.
What's all you?
I'm fine. Go ahead.
Senator. Julius, Kenya secured 485 million. Ethiopia signed 1 billion financing deal for infrastructure, science, technology, health, urban development. What the Liberia gain?
No, Eric, but you should know about these things. That these are negotiations. You know how you say you know. You are a former government official. You say you know.
Because the very senator in studio, he used to ask the very same question.
Yeah, but the man admitted that we all may be guilty, and he admitted.
He said, "May." Now that's all the escape route he tried to find. If he was sincere enough to the Liberian people, he would have said, "I am guilty of negatively portraying my government." That's what a sincere leader does.
Okay.
To comically say on the radio and say, yes, indeed, you arm off the past government for the past 6 years, and you're talking about putting country first. According to him, South Korea say, well, put country first and every other thing last. Is it now you got to know you're supposed to put this country first?
Okay. Thanks. So kindly, former Lieutenant Janje back. Why is that you didn't call on the first segment? I was very surprised that you wouldn't call on the first segment. But anyway.
I was driving on the highway. I don't have
okay.
I decided when to call for you. Thank you, Jill. Before I proceed, let me tell you that where I've been before you respond to me. How you respond to me the other day. I got 2 houses. I got one on the Marshall Road and I got one in Kano. I've been here and there.
Okay.
And the same way you want to be between there, me most rather a part of the Billion House as well. But now to the issue. And I remember you arguing in 2018 and 2019 when President Weah went to France on a first official visit in France. When the French government announced 10 million to Liberia, you said that money was very insignificant. You were all over the place with a lot of voice. And today, in fact, the president went to America. He came back from America with nothing, only taxpayer money he spent, and he came back. Also, you were on a trip as the Senate Committee Chair on Foreign Affairs. You went along with our president to Korea. You went to Korea where other countries were securing huge amount of money. Your excuse here is they had an advanced agreement, but the invitation came to you before you went there. So that means you went there unprepared to even negotiate for the country.
Okay.
You only went there on safari to take pictures with people. So please tell what you brought for our country.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. So kindly, we're holding there. All the lines are blinking. I didn't take international. We have to go back to him. I'm part of the news presentation, so we'll go back to him to respond.
Thank you, Julius. You know I know how to work. To Derek Coty, he may be right. Greedy politicians had this country, including Derek Coty, who is friend to every government. Very greedy, and you will praise Boakai like he praised Weah. That's greediness. That's not consistency. We need to stop it. If that's what we are doing, we need to stop it. The citizens didn't say anything. They came for Darius Dillon. You know what it means to beat CDC out of Montserrat and Liberia? You are the prime target. The fact that they did not say anything important, essential for me to respond to. We just want to say thank you to our callers, to our listeners, including the citizens who's next. I can always rattle when I'm in studio. People have to call where they were living and still living, and all that stuff. The trip was rewarding. Again, Kenya signed a document. Malawi did. Ethiopia did. Nobody took suitcase for the money home. Only citizens will ask that question. I spoke English here, and I was speaking on the subject matter when I said, we as Liberians will all may be guilty about certain things. They did not mean that I am particularly guilty, and I am not trying to prove different here. Everything I've done in the George Weah government, I'm capable of doing with my own government. Have we done some of the things that George Weah government was doing that I was opposed to? No. I voted against our own budget, the $41 million budget under President Boakai's administration, in protest of no domestic debt list. I voted no. Which citizen ever voted no on anything under the administration? There is a soft enough pull between these people and they say misery loves company. CDC looking for misery, and I'm not your company.
Okay. Thanks so kindly, Senator, for honoring our invitation.
Thank you.
Okay, that's how we go. Tomorrow is another day. We will have District 17 Representative DJ Bernard Benson for the first time